time that they got him back, 6 months by the time he got him back. And he was in the hospital, because he did have a problem, he did need to get taken care of. And when mom returned after being gone for 3 days back to the hospital, the little baby would start to fall asleep. And then he'd look over, like, oh, okay, she's there, good, all right. And he'd do that like 5 or 6 times. Babies, in the cases that I've had, won't let their mother go to the bathroom. They will fall, like, mom will come up, they're right there. Because in their little minds, my God, look what happened to me. This could happen again. They're traumatized for life, And these things have an anniversary event, strangest thing. About every year, for many, many years. And it could go into their adulthood for all I know. They will have dark days right around that time that happened to them. And you'll wonder why they act out, and they wonder why they feel terrible or depressed or moody. And it turns out, oh yeah, that's when I was taken when I was 10. That's when I was taken when I was 12 or 9, whatever. So the trauma is deep, it's very deep. And if somebody would pound that into their heads repeatedly, I gotta think a few of them would say, oh, let me rethink this, I'm gonna take the kid idea. The fraternity sorority effect, I told you about the court, and let me tell you, the court system is no better. I gotta tell you. Somebody needs to do something about the court system. To have just a judge who's with the same people in the same room every day, then it's supposed to make an unbiased, decision. It's impossible to even believe that anybody thinks that would work. I am disgusted at what I have to put up with judges in the courtrooms. I mean, I'm trying to keep my vernacular down. The lack of independent counsel, the court-appointed attorneys, it's horrific. And anybody who tries to do their job, I was speaking to one who I'm working with in LA now, trying to bring her up on this stuff. And she said that she one time brought her client into the office. And people were looking at her, and she was new, she didn't know any better. She thought she was there to be a zealous advocate like they taught her in law school. And Rachel Raymond, you know her? And the client leaves, and the manager comes. Who was that? Well, that was my client. Well, what was he doing here? What do you mean, what's he doing here? He's my client. This is the law office, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to meet with my client. Appalled that she would take the time to do that. Because here's what happens, and in LA it's for sure, they get like 5 minutes, they see those people before they walk in a courtroom about their children, about their life. And they get 5-10 minutes with these people. And the guy's read through some report, half full of crap from a social worker, and half the time they just go along with it. And they're carrying, 50, 75 cases. They don't know what's going on. We had a blue ribbon panel report about 4 years ago put up by the California Supreme Court. Said you got to bring that stuff down. And at that point they were carrying like 150 cases, some of these people. They didn't know where they were coming or going. They didn't know Jill from Janet. Nothing. And this is the representation that they're getting about their children. The confidential courtroom, open that thing up. Crack those doors, get the cameras in there. There are very few cases that occur in those courtrooms that need us not to see them. Sure, there's kids that get sexually abused and stuff like that. In fact, Jerry has something in his book, if you read it, and I do encourage you to get the book, about how, like, I don't remember what his numbers are, but these are mine. About 20-25% of these cases, absolutely, there's not a sane person on earth who wouldn't say, dear God, get that kid out of there, okay? And then there's another 30 that are like, probably we could just fix this if we focus on fixing it and keep the kid intact. And then there's another 25-30% that are like, what the hell are you doing? Like the story he described. What the hell are you doing? Why are you taking these children? So the confidential courtroom allows that to occur. If we open up those doors, and an LA County judge did say he's going to do that, nobody's taking advantage of it, because nobody seems to care until it affects their family. If we do that, that would really help. Take the financial subsidies out of the adoption of children. Take the financial subsidies out of the placement of children with other people. These people get. So you get this poor family, and they're subsisting on, I don't know, some welfare, and maybe there's some total they can come up with $1,000 a month. They're trying to raise 2 kids, and they'll take their 2 kids and maybe they'll separate them, and then they'll give each of the foster parents $650, $750. Gee, Seemed like if we took that 1,000 they already had, we gave them, say, $500. And I know some of you here probably say, oh, we shouldn't do that. But dear God, these are children, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Now I give them to a foster parent where they're 40 to 70% more likely to be killed. I'm handling my 3rd dead baby case. You know how many times you can look at pictures of autopsies of dead babies and not just become incensed? This man.
And the money that they get, mind you, there is no auditing. There is no expectation to deliver any proof that any money was spent actually on the child. If they have special needs and mental health issues, they can get as much as $1,300 per kid. And there's no expectation to deliver any accounting of what you spend it on. But we do have a lot of foster parents that live in very large homes, that drive really nice automobiles.
That's very true, because, and then the desire to have a special need, which could be ADHD, everybody's got it, you probably got it, you don't even know. Okay, well, they got it. Now you're gonna get more money. Now you're gonna get more money. So financial subsidies, and you may have all heard about the fact that if they get past a target number, this is amazing. We talk about humans this way. If you get past a target number established on how many kids you adopted out before, then you go past that, now you start getting incentives. We're gonna give you $4,000 per kid over that target number, and if it's a special needs kid, we're gonna give you 6. So there's another reason to have ADHD or something. So that's obviously a problem. Subsidies for having people's families ripped apart. The refusal to place with family members immediately, that's insane. You can't believe it. I had a case where they took this woman's child, and one of the things that they were saying that she had done was she had committed welfare fraud. Well, I guess she had. It had been about 13 years prior in the state of Tennessee, and her ex-husband, in an effort to get her in trouble, had dropped off a sofa couch and a couple of end tables and some other piece of furniture, and she neglected to put those on a form. So then they prosecuted that. And now we're standing here 13 years later in the court, and the judge is looking at him and going, is this really, what does this have to do with she parented her children that she, okay, committed welfare fraud 13 years ago in Tennessee. Okay, Your Honor, so we'll take it out. You took it out. Before the trial is over, Your Honor, we want to amend to put that back in. Are you? You know what, me? So the craziness is incredible. And finally, the appellate courts. So check it out. We have all these statutes that say how fast this stuff should happen when you get to these juvenile court systems, because it's a liberty interest. It's our bloody children. Somebody seemed to have recognized that, put it in the law. I think it's supposed to have a detention hearing within 3 days, okay? If you contest that you want your kid back, even if they want to still argue that they need to stick around your family, then you're supposed to have a hearing in 10 court days, okay? If you don't contest, but they are holding on to your child, you're supposed to get your trial in 15 days. I'm not even sure what the 30-day comment was about. In 15 days, you're supposed to have that trial. Well, you know what they do? They put on their little computer system that there's a trial 15 days from now. And you get there, and they say, well, here's the jurisdiction report. Do you agree with it or disagree with it? Because then now we'll set your trial. And then they start the trials, and Karen and I were just talking about this. I've been in LA for what, if you summed up all the total of the time, it was probably 12 hours, but it took me like 7 trips to LA, sitting in the lobby for 2 to 3 hours at a time to get my 45 minutes to have these people trial. And you go to the appellate courts and you say, where the hell is my due process? And they say, that's not substantive, that's not jurisdictional. Well, what the hell do we have the statute for? Why don't we just say, wait, whenever you get around to it, 5 minutes. All right, as I said, it really does get my blood boiling. I hope it doesn't happen to any of you, because when they take that child, let me tell you, they didn't just take that child, they didn't just mess up that family, they messed up that child's friends. Where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Well, we don't know where Jimmy is, we don't know when I'll be back. They messed up the aunts, they messed up the nephews, they messed up the cousins, they messed up the grandparents. They've hit multiple levels. His baseball team, his swim team. It is so damaging to do what they do, and to do it with such arrogance and such ignorance is unacceptable, and we need somebody to do something. Unfortunately, I've chosen the path, one path. I'm going to sue the shit out of them. That's all I have to do. One final thing. I mentioned that they do it without warrants, and that's how most of my cases make them attractive. We take, I swear, maybe 1 a month on average. because they're a big investment. So we take it because they did it without a warrant. It was beyond stupid. So we sue them for a while, and then they start getting warrants. And as soon as it started happening, I said to my buddy Donnie, you know what's going to happen? Those lies that we see in that detention report when we show up the first thing in court, those are going to show up in the warrant application that they get to give to the judge that we don't ever get to see anyway before they get the warrant. Come take the kid. Sure enough, it's exactly what happened. Now the lie, and of course now, since I don't know, there's nobody looking over their shoulder, the lies are incredible. I just had a case in Sacramento. We just settled it. Sacramento will be paying $600,000 for what they did. They should pay a hell of a lot more. And in the warrant application, this social worker actually had put some of the good, positive things about these parents who, long story short, that they're angels on earth. And the county council went and took out all the good things about the parents. And if you read the one that they left, it sounded pretty bad. But if you knew that in reality, these people were raising, had adopted 4 special needs children themselves and had run a program out of their home for years to which other agencies would refer children with severe behavioral and emotional disturbance disorders. You would never know that from reading this warrant application. You would think these were a couple of people who just basically beat children and hold them on the ground. So, I'm going to go. Thank you very much. I do have to get back over the hill. Thank you.
So we're going to take a 5-minute break. There are snacks back there. Please go to the window. Gail has a sign-up sheet. Then we'll listen to Karen, and then we'll allow you to ask your questions. Please take your seats so we can get started again.
Are you interested in being contacted about CPS group? I gotta find out.
Okay, we have one more speaker, and we're going to be sending around a sign-up.